In our digital world, it kind of feels like privacy's just slipping through our fingers, right? But the fight to get it back is way older than you might think. And it's happening right now in lines of code. Okay, let's dive into this battle for digital privacy, from its radical roots all the way to the really tough choices we're facing today.
So, this one sentence, written over 3 decades ago, this is basically the spark that lit the whole fire. The idea is pretty simple, but powerful. In a world full of computers all talking to each other, being able to control your own information isn't just a nice to have, it's absolutely essential for freedom.
And that's the big question, isn't it? I mean, think about it. Every time you click, every purchase you make, every message you send, it all leaves a digital footprint. So in a world like that, what does privacy even mean anymore? And how do we even begin to get that control back? To get to the bottom of that, we have to start with the why. We need to understand the philosophy here, because this isn't just about tweaking some text settings on an app. For a lot of people, this is a full-on rebellion. So these early pioneers, they called themselves cypherpunks. And they had this, pretty radical idea. They figured that big companies and governments would always have a reason to snoop on our data. So instead of asking for permission or waiting for new laws, they just decided to build the solution themselves. They said, let's write code. Let's build systems where privacy isn't just some optional setting you have to turn on. It's baked in from the very start, non-negotiable. And this quote from Eric Voorhees, wow, it really captures the fire behind that idea. The feeling that our digital lives have just become a product to be harvested. So, from this point of view, crypto isn't just some speculative asset. No, it's a tool. It's a way to rebel, to break free from this system of constant surveillance and control.
All right, so to really get what they're building, we need to get our terms straight. Words like privacy, anonymity, secrecy, they get thrown around all the time as if they're the same thing, but they actually mean very different things.
Okay, so first up, privacy. At its heart, privacy is just about control. It's your choice. You decide who gets to know what about you and when. I mean, you talk to your family differently than you talk to your boss, right? That's you exercising your right to privacy. You're drawing the lines.
Now, anonymity, that's something else. Anonymity is all about separating your actions from who you are. The classic example is a protester in a huge crowd. You can see the action, someone's holding up a sign, but you have no idea who that individual person is. Their identity is kind of hidden by the group. So anonymity can be a really powerful tool for privacy.
And this is a super important distinction, one that comes straight from the original cypherpunks manifesto. Privacy is not the same thing as secrecy. Think of it this way. A private matter is something you just don't want the whole world to know. But a secret? That's something you don't want anybody to know. And that difference is crucial. The goal here isn't to become a ghost and hide everything. It's about getting to choose who sees what.
So, you have these big ideas, but how do you actually turn them into technology? Let's get into the how. Let's look at the actual tools being built in this arsenal of anonymity.
All right. One of the first and most basic tools in the box is something called mixing. See, on a lot of public blockchains, think Bitcoin or Ethereum, every transaction is out in the open. You can literally follow the money from wallet A to wallet B to wallet C. So the big question is, how do you break that chain? How do you make it so no one can follow the trail?
Well, this is how a mixer, like the well-known Tornado Cash, works. It's a 3-step process. First, you deposit your funds into this big shared smart contract, and you get back a kind of secret password or a note. Step 2, your money gets tossed into a giant pool with thousands of other people's deposits. It's all mixed up together, creating that anonymous crowd we talked about. And finally, step 3, you use your secret note to withdraw the money to a totally fresh, new address. And because it came out of that huge mixed-up pool, it's pretty much impossible for anyone to link your withdrawal back to your original deposit. But, mixing isn't perfect. There's a much more powerful, almost magical solution coming into its own now, and it's called a zero-knowledge proof, or ZKP for short. Now, this is some seriously high-level crypto magic, but the basic idea is absolutely game-changing. It lets you prove that a statement is true without revealing any of the information that proves it. Okay, I know that sounds impossible, so let's use an analogy. The best one is the Where's Wally analogy. Imagine you found Wally in one of those super crowded pictures. Now you want to prove to me that you found him, but you don't want to tell me where he is. Here's what you do. You take a giant sheet of cardboard that covers the whole picture, but you cut out a tiny, Wally-sized hole in it. You place the cardboard over the picture so that I can only see Wally through that little hole. What just happened? Well, I am now 100% convinced you know where Wally is, but I have learned absolutely nothing about his actual location on the page. That, in a nutshell, is a zero-knowledge proof. It's verification without revelation.
Okay, so we've got these incredible tools being built. Where does all this leave us right now? Well, we're at a major crossroads. A moment in time where the insane convenience of our digital lives is starting to clash head-on with this fight for privacy.
And this quote, it really cuts to the heart of the problem today. Think about it. Physical cash is one of the very last ways we can transact with each other directly, privately. As we sprint towards a cashless society, suddenly every single payment has a middleman, a bank, a credit card company, an app. And what does that mean? It means every transaction is logged, tracked, and analyzed.
And look, this isn't some far-off sci-fi scenario. In a place like Sweden, cash is already basically a museum piece. It makes up just 2% of the value of all transactions. Now, that's super convenient, for sure, but it also means there's a digital record of nearly every single economic interaction, creating this absolutely massive database of our lives.
So, what happens when that data is used for more than just targeted ads? Well, in China's social credit system, it's a tool for social engineering. Your shopping habits become part of your citizen score. Buying diapers? That's seen as responsible. Your score might go up. Playing video games for 10 hours straight? That's considered idle. Your score might go down. A system like this is only possible because of total financial surveillance.
And that brings us to the core dilemma. On one hand, you've got public blockchains, which were designed to be transparent so everyone can audit them. But on the other hand, we have this deep, fundamental human need for the kind of privacy that cash used to give us. How do you solve that? How do you build a global digital financial system that doesn't also become the perfect tool for surveillance?
Well, this is the exact problem that developers are trying to solve right now. Take Ethereum's co-founder, for example. He's laid out a whole roadmap for baking privacy right into the network. And you can see here, it's not one giant leap. It's a bunch of practical steps, like building privacy tools directly into the wallets we already use, making the tech cheaper and more efficient, and making sure transactions can't be easily censored. But even with a smart plan like that, it's not simple. There's a real trade-off here, which this developer in the Ethereum forums points out beautifully. He says, look, if we make everything private by default, it becomes way harder to build up a public reputation online. Think about it. Do you want your digital life to be private, like a Signal message, or public, like a Twitter profile? One is way better for privacy, but the other is better for building trust and identity. And honestly, there's no easy answer.
And that really leaves us with the big question, the one we all have to think about. As our world gets more digital and less physical, what are we going to choose? Are we going to pick the incredible convenience that comes with total transparency, or are we going to fight for the freedom, messy and complicated as it is, that only comes with real privacy? The systems of our future are being built right now, in every line of code. The choice is up to us.